Anchor down, Admiral Nation. Welcome to episode 5 of the Admiral Brag Sheet, brought to you by All Things MacArthur. And before we get started, we just want to say congratulations to Tyrell MacArthur, brand new father. Had their brand new baby this weekend. We're super proud of you and excited to see her grow up and you be a father. So, congratulations, Tyrell. We're going to get straight into it with last week's action. And then have a little roundtable conversation at the end of everything. So we'll start with last Monday. Ninth grade basketball started off their action for the year as they hosted Biloxi and Burt Jenkins Gym. The boys came away with a victory over Biloxi. Always good to beat Biloxi. And the girls actually this year in ninth grade basketball, they started to do something a little bit different in our league. Because girls' numbers typically are pretty low in a lot of our schools for ninth graders. What they've done is they've decided to allow you to have like a JV league. So they're allowing ninth and 10th graders to play on that. So it could be times where we're a ninth grade team playing a bunch of 10th graders or vice versa. But it was a really good game between the Lady Admirals and Biloxi, but Biloxi came away with that victory in a very close game that night. So also Monday night we had some soccer at Greene County. Trip.
Yeah, so boys and girls varsity went up to Greene County. Before that, I didn't really know anything about who they were. But it was fun, and I think it was one of those games their coach requested to play us. The girls won 4-0 and played 50 minutes. They played. Each of the teams played the first half, the entire 40-minute first half, and then cut some of the second half short just because of just time constraints and just the way the games were rolling. But the girls won 4-0, and that was all 4 goals in the first half, and I think they only played 10 or 20 minutes in the second half. And then the boys, we scored 6 in the first half. Game ended 6-0 because we played 10 minutes in the second half, I think. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, those were fun games. I wouldn't really consider that the start to our season, but it was fun to get up there and, let everyone play. We scored some fun goals, and it was fun.
Yeah, well, cool. I think last week we talked about the last time I was at Greene County was when I was the athletic director at Van Cleve. The field had just gone through some repairs and it was actually in really good shape. What's their field like now?
The soccer field, the one in the back?
Is it grass or turf?
It's grass.
It's grass?
It was all right.
Did y'all play on the football field or did they have a soccer field?
No, it was a soccer field.
Okay. All right.
It was all right.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was pretty bad. They filled sand in at halftime.
Okay, I got you. Well, that happens a lot of times at smaller schools.
Yeah.
And, so... But overall, a good win to start the season off for y'all.
Very much so.
Tuesday, there were no events going on last week, but Wednesday is when we started off a really busy schedule, and we're going to start off with boys golf on day 1 of the state championships.
Yes, sir. Day 1, it was really tough conditions. I think it was, when I was teeing off, it was around 37, 38 degrees. It was windy, it was cold, it was brutal, but we got through it. It was tough, but we got through it. So day 1 leaderboard, we had Crosby Parker shot at 92, Tyler Gruich 86, Cannon Parker 92, Wesley High, which is me, I shot at 86, Reed Williams 98, and then Tavion Collier shot at 93. So it was overall it was a tough day in those conditions. That's obviously not that bad of a score. Obviously not what we wanted, but yeah, it was a fun week.
All right, good. And we'll get more into the week overall when we get to Thursday and talk about day 2 scores, but 39 degrees. I know I got a text from Coach D'Angelo that morning telling me how cold it was, and I was glad I was down here and not up there. Not that it was a whole lot warmer down here, but moving on, ninth grade basketball had their second game of the year, and that was at Harrison Central. Boys and girls both got a win that night, so it was good to go get wins against a rival again that night. The boys got that win, and the girls got their first win of the year. So great to see that happen. And then finally, we had JV soccer had their jamboree on Wednesday. Trip.
Yeah, so both the ninth grade team and the JV played because we got a lot of kids, so we have enough for 3 teams. So I think they each played 2 games. I know they each played Harrison Central and won both of those games. And I think the JV played D'Iberville and won that one. And then I think the ninth grade also played D'Iberville, and they tied that game. Mm-hmm. So the ninth grade team always plays the other JVs because we're about the only school that has a ninth grade team down here. So it's really impressive to see those guys get out there and win games and compete with honestly 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and they're all in ninth grade.
Yeah.
So really impressive for them. It was fun to get out there and watch them and mess around. They're a really good group, funny guys, and it was a really fun night.
Yeah, and I think that's always important when the older guys come support the younger guys like that, and that's always really fun to see that mentorship, because eventually they're going to be the older guys.
And at some points, I know on the soccer field, our coach kind of lets us and gives us the freedom to, like inside your position, coach the guys that are playing. Like I just remember there was a guy playing my position on the ninth grade team, and he got a little out of formation. I was kind of told him, I was like, hey, get back here. And it's not really coaching in a sense, but he kind of gives us that free reign to go on and give the mentorship that you're talking about if we want to give it or choose to give it, and it does happen, and they're very receptive to it, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, I've always been a firm believer that kids learn from other kids better than they learn from adults sometimes. I was a baseball coach, and one of the things that I love to do is get my younger guys around my older guys as much as they possibly can, because as much as it's meaningful, the experience that I had as a coach, it just means something a little different coming from somebody that's maybe 3 years older than you that you look up to a lot. Not every sport can do that. Obviously, you don't want middle schoolers with high schoolers in football, because that could be a very dangerous situation. But I think, other sports, anytime you get a chance for that's just a really good thing. So, good. Let's get to Thursday, day 2 of the state championship for golf.
Yeah, day 2 was a lot more favorable conditions. It felt a lot better out there. And the leaderboard, we had Crosby Parker shoot 88, Tyler Gruich 92, Cannon Parker 94. I shot an 86 again, Reed Williams 99, and then Tavion Collier shot 96. The course was really tough. It was playing, I think, almost around 7,000 yards. We were playing it from the tips, the back of the course, and we had to play the ball down, which means no moving it under any circumstances. I think I had one drive, I think it was hole 3. I hit my drive perfectly right down the middle, and I was sitting in the middle of a divot.
Oh.
So I was just sitting in it should have been in the middle of the green grass, and I was just in a pocket of dirt, and I couldn't move it. I had to hit my ball out of it, because pretty much every other tournament except our first one this year, we've been able to move it a scorecard length or a club length, and lift clean, place the ball, and get our lie good. But it was really tough having to play it down, and obviously it wasn't the scores that we all wanted, but it was a good way to end the year, and I think we had a really productive year overall for the golf team. I know we had a lot of people from baseball, including myself, come over and play, and I think the future is very bright. I mean, we had a 9th grader, a 10th grader, a 7th grader, and a 10th grader that were on our team. So, I think the future is definitely looking up for the golf team.
That's awesome, and I think, that experience that you had right there probably gives you a whole new respect for professional golfers, because
Absolutely.
They never get to move the ball. They have to play by the rules 100%.
Yeah.
They're hitting out of divots all the time. They're hitting out of bad situations, and they make it seem really easy. Yeah. So I'm sure that's got to give you a whole new respect for what they do. Playing from the tips, just golf is hard.
Yeah.
That ball just sits there, but it's the hardest thing in the world to do, to hit it straight.
Right.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
And Wesley led the team both days at state. I don't know if everyone caught that, but 86 both days was the best score on the team.
Big Wesley, that a boy. Wesley, as he said, joined the golf team this year for the first time, because that move from the spring to the fall by the MHSA to allow for more people to be able to go out and play. It was a move to try to free up golf courses a little bit more. But what it actually did is it allowed baseball players to go play golf.
Yeah.
And, I think that was a really great move by them.
For sure.
Congratulations to you, Wesley. It's always best to end at your best.
Right.
And you did that, and that's awesome.
Thank you.
We're really proud of you. That's great. Good catch there, Trip. Let's move on to, we had our first home game, kind of true home game of the year for soccer against Pass Christiana on Thursday.
Yeah, the girls played first. They won 2-1. They got up 2-0. It was a pretty dominant game from the girls. I mean, I would just put some chances away that were good chances and didn't finish some away, but overall good game for the girls, and the Pass girls scored, I think, a PK in the 80th minute. So, I mean, it's just not, it should have been probably 2-0, could have been 5-0, 7-0 game. So, really well done from the girls. The boys could have said this is our first 80-minute game, but we didn't play 80 minutes. We had some trash talking from the other side, so had to kind of put them away early there. So I played 60 minutes, 7 goals, 7-0, little mercy rule.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, that's a new rule that happened in soccer last year, I think it started, or maybe 2 years ago, where if you're up by 7 or more goals with 30 minutes left to play, is that right?
60 played, so... Or no, 50 played. It's 10 minutes after the half.
Yeah.
So what would that be? Yeah, 30
Yeah,
left.
30 minutes left to play, then the game's over. That's the mercy rule in soccer now, so that's cool.
And I was going to add, Tripp scored the game winner to make it 7-0. He shot it from like 30 or 40 yards out, and he hit him with a, what was it, you went like this? Yeah. He hit him with
walk-off goal.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
impressive.
Good job. Good job. All right. Then finally on Thursday night, we had Thursday night football. For those of you who don't know, it was the last regular season game of the year. MHSA started this last year due to the referee shortage. The lower classifications, 1, 2, 3, and 4, actually started their playoffs last week. So in order to make sure that the best refs were able to do the playoff games plus the last regular season game of the year, they moved the upper classifications to Thursday night. So we had our biggest rivalry game, Harrison Central. I believe that everybody pretty much by consensus kind of looks at them as our biggest rival overall right now for football. Now I think you can make some arguments in other areas, but I think that's the one that people kind of anticipate a lot just from a tradition standpoint. I know Biloxi in years past has always been a really big rival of Gulfport, but Harrison Central seems to be that new one that we kind of look at. So we got a chance to go over to Harrison Central, and it was pretty common theme of what's happened a lot this year is, we were clearly the better team. And our football team, I'll say this year, we do not play down to our level of competition. Now, I don't want that to seem as a slap in the face to Harrison Central, but we were clearly the better football team. And when that's been the case this year, we don't mess around. The game's clearly over in the first quarter, and that's pretty much what happened on Thursday night. We ended up winning the game 49-7. It was one of those games where, there were stat leaders all over the place. Gavin Brown had a huge game that night. Multiple touchdowns, a lot of catches, a lot of rushing yards. I think we actually turned the ball over 3 times, so I think we had 3 interceptions that night, or 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery. It's good to see our defense start taking the ball away. We've had a lot of interceptions dropped early in the year, but defense did a really good job. Offense did a really good job. It was great to get that last win of the year going into the playoffs. And getting that win against a rival, so just a really good way to close out the year, clinch the number 2 seed, and get in a home field game this next Friday night, which we'll talk about shortly. So last Friday there was nothing.
That's something you see often.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, just very rarely. But Friday night there was nothing going on. But Saturday we had a couple events going on. So we'll start with soccer. We had the Classic at the Sportsplex.
Yeah, so the Classics are always at the Sportsplex. A bunch of teams come out, actually. There was middle school games, JV games, varsity games, just a lot of soccer. I was there from 9:30 to 6. So a lot of fun just watching everyone and getting some quality game time in. The girls played first. They played Bay and won 1-0. And then we had some JV games, mix and match in there. And then the boys played at 11, beat East Central 9-1. And then the girls played again at 12, and then they beat East Central 2-1. And then the boys played the big one, Clinton. Mm-hmm. Clinton went back-to-back state championships. This is coming from an inside standpoint, probably most likely going to be a state championship preview.
Yeah,
I think.
I believe that's a good chance.
A good chance. But it's always fun to get out there and play them. We ended up losing the game, didn't go our way, but just some factors within the team and personnel not being there could have shifted the game either way. And it was a really close game. The score ended up being 6-4, I think, 6-3, 6-4. Mm-hmm. I don't really know, but we missed a penalty, so to tie up the game. No, maybe to take the lead. I'm not sure, but we missed a pretty crucial penalty. Our goalkeeper wasn't there. So there was just some factors. I mean, all hands to Clinton. They're a great team, and they got the win and beat Ocean Springs earlier that day as well. So came down the coast and probably beat our two best teams. So kudos to them. They're a really good team, but I think that could have shook that one the other way just with some certain things and going different ways. But it was fun to see them early in the season.
Yeah, and that's why you play a whole season. You know, if the state championship was determined at the beginning of the season, that's no drama in that. So having to play shorthanded, that's part of things. You know, and having to battle through some things, that's part of things. So I know there's big things for our boys and girls soccer team to come. So the girls are still undefeated right now, correct? And we're looking for big things from both of y'all this year. So then we got cross country ran in the state championships on Saturday in Clinton.
Sure. Starting with the boys, we had 2 runners compete. First off, we had Ethan Polk. He finished with a 1952 with a 6:24 split, which sounds pretty impressive to me. I don't know if I could run 1 mile.
I'm not sure I could.
His
I know I can't.
His goal was to break 20. That's what he told us. He's on the soccer team, so I mean.
He did it by 8 seconds.
So yeah,
that's awesome.
Sir, and then JT Tyndall, I think he's in 8th grade. I think
he is. Yeah.
And he finished with a 22:27, with also a 7:13 mile split, which I don't know if I could run a mile that fast either.
No, I could.
That's pretty solid for the boys. I know they finished up a good season. I think they had a pretty young team this year.
They did.
And then for the girls, we had the whole team was able to compete. Ava Benefield finished 24th place. She finished with a 21:24 with a 6:53 mile split, which is once again really impressive. Gianna Morales, 23:06. Mina Hill with a 24:02.
8th grader, by the way.
Yep, 8th grader. Lucy Stewart, 24:09, and then Gabrielle Simmons with a 24:11. And I think one more. Yeah, Caroline Woodward with a 26:09. So shout out to the girls. I think they finished 11th. 11th place.
Yeah, 11th place.
Out of a good competition of teams, and so shout out to the ladies. I think it was a really good season for them also.
Yeah, great job by them this year. Great job by our coaches, and we're looking forward to what they're going to have in the future as well. I know we keep saying that, but athletics in Gulfport very bright in the future. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the week to come now. So, starting off on Monday, we're going to include some middle school events that are taking place. So Monday, BioView Middle School played Gulfport Central Middle School. That actually took place yesterday. We're recording on Tuesday. I was at those games last night. It's always kind of cool for me to see my 2 middle schools competing against each other.
It's fun.
They play hard against each other, always very respectful of each other. BioView did happen to win every game last night, except for the 7th grade boys actually ended up in a tie last night. So that's one of those funny things that happens in 7th grade basketball. Then also last night we had 9th grade basketball versus West Harrison. The boys ended up winning and the girls ended up losing a very close game. So last night we also had JV soccer at Stone. What happened with that?
The boys won 3-0. I'm not sure about the girls. That was our 9th grade team. Whenever.
I think they won 4-0 or something like that. Yeah. My sister made a PK, so shout out to LC.
Okay, there you go.
Shout out.
Awesome. Then we've also got some middle school soccer. What are those middle school soccer games? Tripp, you got that?
The white team, which I think is the 8th grade team, or
no, that's the B team.
Okay,
the white
right.
team is.
So they went to play at Poplarville. Oh, that's a while away from.
I think it was 2-1.
They won.
They won. All right,
good for them. And then the orange team, that's the A team, played at East Central. You know those scores?
I don't know because my brother's on the white team, so that's the only reason I do that.
Yeah, we'll try to get those.
I'm sure orange is always, or I guess the A team is always pretty talented.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's probably a W on the win column there.
All right, which brings us up to date today, which is Tuesday, and Triple we got going on.
Soccer game tonight, 5:30 and 7 at the track. Well, it says Herb on here, but is that?
Yeah, I think it looks like we're probably gonna have to adjust that. I gotta go out and take a look at the field one more time. It's I think there's maybe a couple little divots out there that the coaches are concerned with, so we gotta take a look at that real quick.
So yeah, probably gonna be at the track, huh? So yeah, come out for that one tonight. 5:30 and 7. St. Pat's, 2 talented teams, should be a good one.
Yeah. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, 4:30, BioView Middle School basketball travels to Hancock. Gulfport Central Middle School basketball hosts Biloxi. Ninth grade basketball will be hosting Hancock and Burt Jenkins Gym. And then we got some middle school soccer on Wednesday. Well, we got a trip.
White goes to or plays at Picayune at the track, and then it says Orange is at Long Beach for the Herb at the Herb. I don't.
Yeah,
That might be a VA game.
That's one of those things we're gonna have to take a look at as well. So, for those of you who don't know, we've done a lot of work to the Herb over the past couple months, and we're trying to make sure that it's really nice before we get going. We could play on it right now, but it's one of those things where we want to make sure we maintain longevity with everything.
As a whole, it looks really good, but there's just places where it's a little bit it's spotchy.
Yeah.
And like the central part of the field looks so good, but just some outsides, there's just some stuff that we're concerned about with the way the ball's rolling and the way we've been injured in the past, quite frankly. So
and I know y'all are pumped to finally get out there at some point, so looking forward to that. And then Thursday, Bayou Middle School basketball travels to Ocean Springs. And then what we got soccer-wise, that ought to be a good one.
Yeah, at Oak Grove, that's in Hattiesburg. They're usually a pretty good team on both sides, boys and girls. So pumped for that one.
Yeah.
See how that one goes.
Yeah, awesome. Friday night, big playoff game. You want to tell us a little bit about that, Wesley? Who we got?
Yeah, the Admirals are hosting Pearl. I think the record is 7-3, so it's a pretty respectable record. I know I was looking at the the differences between the two teams the other day. I think we both lost to Madison Central and maybe one other team, maybe Picayune or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it should be a really evenly matched up game. Hopefully the Admirals can get a dub and move on to next week, probably at Brandon.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that a little bit when we were talking about last week's scores. We've done a really good job this year of putting away the teams that we should put away. And when we're supposed to win, we go win. We've struggled in those games where we're pretty evenly matched with somebody so far. But we've been building towards finally getting that first big win. And I think we're primed to do that this Friday night. Our defense is finally starting to turn the ball over a little bit. Our offense seems like they're clicking on all cylinders in the run game and the pass game. I saw Nico scramble a couple times this past week, which was really good to see. Bishop caught a deep ball last week, which was really good to see. If we can use all of those weapons and get the ball rolling offensively, we're hard to contend with. And then our defense goes and turns the ball over. I truly believe we're one of the best teams in the state. It's just a matter of finally going out and getting that first big win. So hopefully we can go get that this Friday night. We are still looking for donations for the student section. Anybody who wants to donate money to allow students into the game for free Friday night. Tickets in the playoff game, $10. We've talked about that before. That's a lot of money. That's a meal for a lot of people. So we're trying to seek donations from the community to be able to have our students come out and give us home field advantage on Friday night. And then Saturday, we have the tip-off classic for basketball. Our varsity girls are going to play Picayune at 4, and our varsity boys are going to play Bay at 5:30. All the action starts at 1 o'clock that day, so we have 4 games that day. So we've got a lot of basketball going on in Burt Jenkins Gym. Basketball is probably the last of our winter sports to finally get their first official game in on Saturday. I know they've been practicing for a long time. They're ready for this moment. It's going to be good to go out and see those guys and girls compete at the highest level. I'm going to finish off today with a little roundtable conversation, and we're going to talk playing surfaces. There's a lot of different topics to this that we're going to talk about, and we've talked a little bit about it today with the Herb and some of the work that we've been doing to make it better. There's natural grass. There's also the turf that's very popular these days with things. Then there's also, you go to different parts of the country, you might be playing on different types of grass. You might be playing on different types of clay. That happens from spot to spot within the state. So let's kick it off with this. What's y'all's thoughts? Turf versus natural grass. Which would you rather play on?
I know, for baseball specifically, I would rather play on natural grass.
Yeah.
I know turf is convenient because you can play relatively soon after it rains and it doesn't take that much management.
Yeah.
But me personally, I know I'm a pitcher and I hate pitching off turf mounds because usually you can't wear your spikes and you can't get that good of a grip. So if you have a good dirt mound and a good well-kept field, then you can't beat it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you mentioned that it's easier to maintain the turf, and you can play a lot quicker if it rains, stuff like that. Yeah. So a natural grass guy will tell you, a natural field person will tell you that if you properly grade a grass field, it's going to do just as well as a turf field would. So, Tripp, from a soccer's perspective, which would you rather play on?
I don't mind playing on the turf, but I'd much rather grass, and I think that's just because we have always had a home field advantage with the Herb, because we're one of the only teams probably in the state that has a grass field. Like, it just...
At the upper classification level, I would say you're probably right with that, yeah.
Because most of the other, like, Biloxi OS, they all play on their turf football field, so, I mean, it's an advantage for us, I'd say. The ball does roll different. Like, whenever we're playing games at the turf, we do have to practice a couple days in advance on the turf, because it rolls a lot faster. You got to time a lot of things just with the ground. Because, playing a sport where the ball is on the ground 90% of the game, you got to know those things and just see how the ball works. But personally, I'm a grass guy. But I also like to say that I think 10 out of 10 grass is better than 10 out of 10 turf.
Yeah.
But I think if you get down to, like, I think 6 out of 10 turf is probably going to be better than 6 out of 10 grass.
Yeah.
Because turf has a structure is just solid. Like,
yeah.
There's definitely bad turf, but you're never going to have a complaint because it can't be too, like, uneven or anything with turf. But bad grass can just do bad things to your game, especially in soccer.
It can. And that the fact that we're talking about an advantage of having natural grass as our home field is kind of funny to me, because 10 years ago it wasn't an advantage to have natural grass field. It was an advantage to have a turf field. Now that's kind of flipped because everybody's gone to turf. Yeah. So having home field advantage with grass is just awesome. I know when we played when the girls played Ocean Springs in the South State Championship last year for soccer, I believe we mentally won that ball game before it started, because it was wet, it was kind of mucky, and I think Ocean Springs was not happy about playing on that field, and I think we knew immediately when they showed up and they saw the field, hey, we've got this thing won, because we know what it is to play on.
See, the Herb itself isn't a bad surface. It's just really, it's slick at times.
Yeah.
So, we hosted Petal in the playoffs, and I know Biloxi, we got a really big win. We didn't lose a game with the Herb last year on the boys' side. I don't think the girls did either, and we haven't this year. Meanwhile, so we haven't played on it. But we just hosted a couple teams, and they'd be like, "Dang, like what is this?" But in reality, like, I wear metal cleats on the Herb, so I'm not slipping.
Yeah.
And a lot of our guys just know how to play with the conditions, and like a lot of other teams just can't handle that. Plus, a generic soccer field is 120 yards. The Herb's almost 110, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a bit shorter. So we're kind of playing. We're used to it, whereas the other teams aren't.
Yeah.
So that helps us a lot, because I've heard other guys that I play like on club teams with just complaining about it.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad surface grass-wise, but they're just not used to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's one thing, not just in soccer. I was just thinking about it. We have one turf field, and there's not even sports teams that play on it consistently.
Yeah.
Football plays at Milner, that's grass. Everything at the Herb is grass.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, our golf courses are obviously grass, but like everything else is grass.
Well, obviously, our advantage to having the turf field is if it downpours, we can move a game over there really quick. I know that happened on a Thursday night earlier this year. Gulfport Central was hosting a game over at Milner Stadium. Well, we had a varsity game that very next night, and about 3 o'clock a downpour came, and we had to make a decision. Do we play a middle school football game at Milner when we got a big varsity football game the next night, or do we move it over to the track? Yeah. Easy decision for me. I moved it over to the track. It allowed us to go play immediately, not impact the game the next night. So it's great to have that option. I think we live in the best of both worlds. We have some turf, we have some grass. Now, obviously, from a baseball, softball perspective, we don't really have that option. We do have parts of our baseball field that is turf, right. The home plate area. How does that impact a baseball player? Home plate being turf and then the rest of the field being grass.
Well, honestly, I think it's perfect because, home plate, especially the right-hander batter's box, it can get dug in after a while.
Yeah.
4th, 5th, 6th, 7th innings. It kind of get hard to find your balance, but the turf obviously stays flat the whole time. And like Tripp was saying, the home field advantage, it's there for baseball too, because I know last year in the 3rd round we had Brandon, and we went up there and we were like stretching. I just remember our whole team was just wowed at the fact of how like nice the grass was.
Yeah.
Just because they're up in rural Mississippi, like they have that fertile soil, and I know it might sound like it doesn't affect it that much, but honestly, like the soil and the water running down up in Brandon and Jackson, it really helps the field a lot better. Like their dirt was pure. It looked like a minor league.
Because we have that sandy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we're right next to the beach, so we're going to
Yeah.
have that sandy type of texture to it. So
Yeah.
it's a lot different roll to it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because, whenever Brandon came down and played, I just remember hearing some of their players complaining about the field. We called it the sand pit.
Yeah.
Because it was really dry season. I think that was May or something along those lines. And yeah, the ball rolls differently at the Herb for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We call them Herb hops sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a bad hop, but our players, we know how to deal with that. And I think it definitely made a difference in the game for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I think no matter what surface you play on, there's going to be an impact in whatever sport that you play. In golf, obviously, there's different types of grass on different courses. Some are going to have roots all over them, you know, depending on the course that you play at. A lot of things impact the way athletes can perform. And I think that a playing surface might be the most impactful thing that there is. You know, there's crowd noise. There's all kinds of things that play into a ball game. But the bottom line is you're stepping foot on the field. That impacts you a whole lot, doesn't it, Tripp?
Yeah. Every time I step on a soccer field, I feel the grass. Like
Yeah.
and whether it be turf or grass, I'm just kind of feeling out what I'm about to play on because a lot of times where my position is, I'll have to bring balls down from the air.
Yeah.
Whether that be with the header or bringing them down. And a lot of time, I just bring them down with my foot if I have time.
Yeah.
And being on that surface can affect the ball because if it's turf, I really need to have a good touch so it can, because it's going to bounce.
Yeah.
If it's grass, it might soften a little bit so I can have some room for air. So, I mean, which I try not to make myself have that room for air anyway, but it's just some securance and knowing whether that be good or bad.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I kind of feel those things out when I'm playing. So it's a very big thing to analyze it and, like, sometimes I'm like, dang, like, this turf kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Or, like, dang, this grass kind of sucks. Like, it's just very, like, we're always talking about it. We're always playing at the VA, and we're like, dang, like, we don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Because the VA is not a bad service. It's been really good to us. It's been very available, and they've done a great job, being very hospitable to us as a soccer program while we're doing the Herb. So thank you to them. But that field is just a little flaky, and it's really dry, and they've done a really good job lining it for us and getting us goals and trying to really keep up with it as best they could. But, I mean, it's just not...
But there's only so much you can do with some surfaces. And look, we pour a lot of time, effort, energy, and quite frankly, money into our playing surfaces. And this is why we do those things, because it makes a definite impact, not just on like the outcome of game, but on the health and safety of our student athletes, which is the most important thing to me as the athletic director, is making sure that we have a safe environment for our athletes to perform in and something that can help them be successful. Anything else you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to, not on the turf topic, but just to maybe start closing us out. Everyone come to the football game on Friday.
Yeah.
Big game. It'll be our last game at Milner for the year.
Unless something really wacky happens. It would have to be us playing Meridian for the South State Championship. We would actually host that, but that's one of a billion scenarios that could happen.
We would go away and then come back home.
Yeah, there's a possibility. We could have to go to Brandon, and then if Meridian were to somehow come through as a 4 seed, and
what are we?
And we're a 2 seed, so that's the only scenario where we would be back home again. So
and then. Like our baseball team last year, I think they're similar to the football team. A lot of talent, kind of struggled early on in the year, but, the boys might just get hot and make a run at this thing. You never know. So I encourage everyone to pull up to Milner on Friday and have a big crowd and be energetic and cheer the boys on.
That's right. I'm pumped about it. I know everybody is, and, hopefully we can see the Admirals go on a run like the baseball team did last year, like the soccer team. I know y'all kind of came out of nowhere, too, with all the injuries that you had to deal with, too. So it's a great thing about the playoffs right there. Is it does not matter what happened during the regular season. All that matters is how hot you get at the end of the year. So another good episode, guys. Appreciate you, and, good luck to you this week. trip with soccer. And Wesley, you get to go train for a little bit before baseball gets started.
Sir.
So, and we're all going to get a chance to watch our Admirals over the winter do great things. So until next time, hoo-yah.